The surgery that most people have heard about, however, in the last few years is called pallidotomy. And I mentioned earlier when I was speaking to you about the parts of the brain that the globus pallidum is part of that circuit that I discussed in the basal ganglia. When you go in and with a probe and lesion the globus pallidum, you also help to rebalance the circuit. The surgery has proven very effective and is an option in many young onset patients. The effects of the surgery, whereas the thalamotomy only helped tremor, the pallidotomy tends to help the rigid tone and tremor as well, and so it has a more global effect. Bilateral pallidotomies, however, can still be higher risk, and the surgery is not a cure.
Treating their disease is but a small factor in the lives of young onset patients. Their lives are filled with challenges and change.
Probably the most difficult thing is cooking, because the oven, the heat, it just immediately, I freeze, I can't move. You see my finger going, my face expression changes, and if I'm high on my meds, I have severe dyskinesia, which is rapid movement, uncontrollable movement, and the kitchen is a scary place to be. Mom's kicked me out of it several times.
You know, the young people, they haven't learned a lot of the coping skills that you learn as you move through life, through small situations and a little bit bigger situations. She hasn't learned those yet. So it's very difficult for her to cope with this. And I'm her sounding board, I'm her enemy, I'm her friend, I'm her mom, you know. So we have all the emotions wrapped up here in the house.
And if I get under-medicated even more than that, I get what's called dystonia. My body tries to do a full backwards arch, say from toe to head, and if it gets real good at that, and it's kind of one of the deeper sessions, at the same time it feels like somebody's trying to slide my head off sideways. I've nicknamed that floor dancing for short, or Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy Ballet, Rodeo, and Prayer Meeting. It's lasted anywhere from 30 minutes to 5.5 hours, so it's a rather challenging activity, and tempted to sell tickets, but I haven't done that yet.
I can't think of anything that's worse than going to the grocery store and trying to get money out of my wallet, but I couldn't feel it, so I was trying to take it out, and I decided, okay, well, I'm going to write a check. That'll be better. Then they won't see that I'm fumbling with my money. And the man in back of me asked me if I was an alcoholic because I was trembling so badly.
To cope with the changes in their lives, Parkinson's patients can turn to support groups. Ann Martin from the Houston Area Parkinson's Society.
The Houston Area Parkinson's Society is an agency that provides for the needs of Parkinson's patients and their caregivers. Everything from their physical need to helping them find help in their home, respite care, cheap or free medicine. It kind of changes when the phone rings.
The future for Parkinson's patients depends on the support of legislators, scientists, doctors, and everyday people like you and me, all who can support the cause. We are in search of a champion. Caregivers, husbands and wives, doctors, advocates, and legislators are all champions. Congressman Lane Evans.
We think we're real close on some major breakthroughs in Parkinsonisms, and it's not being selfish, but I think a good use of the research dollars to be spent where they can be most effective. And we've got to convince the Congress and the Senate that that's happening now, that they're not fully getting the amounts of money they need, or they're not spending it in the way that we had intended to help move up the process. We're not doctors, obviously, those of us that are affected by this. But I do think that we have some kind of common sense feeling about what's going on and what should be getting done here the next year to 4 or 5 years, which we hope will be the resolution of Parkinson's, at least to a major extent.
Well, I think that the public needs to know that there are young onset Parkinson patients, first of all. Many people, especially before Michael J. Fox, thought it was only a disease of the elderly. And they need to understand that we need to make an effort to keep these people integrated in our workforce, to keep them functioning. And whether that takes allowances or job changes, as long as possible. I think it's very important for a young person to feel productive. And when that's no longer possible, we need to be there to provide services. And that's going to take support and money. And every Parkinson patient that I know, young and old, wants money directed toward research. They want a cure.
With this situation, it's very difficult to look back and to remember. And you can't look forward because I don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now. And you just deal and focus with the moment. I have to deal and focus with the moment at hand. Her symptoms have progressed very quickly, which is unusual. Usually it's a very slow progressing disease, and for her it's been very fast. I see her face as a child. I see her face as a baby. I remember her playing soccer. I remember her playing baseball. I remember her walking down a street and people watching her because she's so beautiful and graceful. And knowing that we count on these incredibly intelligent people who are researchers and are doctors fighting to unlock the mystery of the brain and to come up with cures for people who are really suffering.
You do things because you love somebody. That's the reason I do it. I choose to stay because that's my place and because I love him. And he's been a good father. He's been an excellent husband to me. And now I think that he deserves some of that in return for all that he's done for me. But you got to have compassion. You got to have strong nerves, and sometimes you got to have the desire just to hold them and cuddle them.
Well, I try not to think in terms of where it's leading a lot. I don't dwell a lot on that as far as when I see people that are maybe much more severe at this point, because we just remain hopeful that through research that medication or surgery will be able to keep him hopefully like permanently out of a wheelchair or whatever. So I don't dwell on that too much. We just take it each day as it comes, and the rest of it, I guess, is just our faith. I mean, I don't believe God will give us more than we can handle, and just kind of keeping our priorities straight as far as dropping things that aren't important and in that, and just focusing on living day to day and doing what we need to do.
But I also know that we have greater and greater need for research for a cure. I'd love to think that the young people, younger people, way younger people than me, who have Parkinson's, will be able to do all sorts of things and live normal lives, and that my kids or my kids' kids won't ever have to think about having Parkinson's and the limitations that that brings to their lives. And so I do believe that we need to support groups, new groups, old groups, whoever, get the finest and smartest to work on a cure for Parkinson's.
The lavender gown that I once wore, antiqued and aging in an old dresser drawer, and a purse made of pearls with a handle of gold, tarnished, miscolored, forgotten and old. Oh, joy that I could run back to that day and put on my dress to dance night away, or awaken to find I'd had a nightmare, and that I was healthy and had not a care. But in this reality I will stay, praying for health day after day, looking for answers. I haven't a clue. One day at a time is the best I can do. The cure is awaiting in some brilliant mind who studies with fervor for the answers to find.
Until then, I shall escape in my lavender dress to dance with the stars and run from the stress.